I used to think I was just lucky in love, that I'd finally found someone who understood me, really understood me. Someone who could anticipate what I needed before I even said it. But now, I know the truth. I wasn't lucky. I was being watched, studied, stalked, and by the time I figured it out, it was too late to just walk away. His name was Nate. We met at a bookstore. Yes, like some cheesy romance movie. I was reaching for a novel on the top shelf when he grabbed it for me, flashing a perfect disarming smile. "Good choice," he said, handing me the book. "You love the author's last one." I blinked. Yeah, I did. I hadn't even mentioned the author. At the time, I just thought, wow, what a coincidence. That wasn't the last time Nate would surprise me. Nate was thoughtful, kind, and deeply attentive. He always knew what I was craving before I even said it. He took me to my favorite restaurant on our second date, one I had never mentioned to him. He remembered tiny details, the way I took my coffee, my childhood dream of visiting Greece, the kind of things people should forget over time. But he never did. At first, it was flattering, but then I started noticing the pattern. One night, I mentioned a beach house my family used to rent when I was a kid. I hadn't talked about it in years. I never posted about it online. And Nate nodded and said, "Oh yeah, the one in Cape May." I froze. I never told him it was in Cape May. Yeah, I said slowly. "How'd you know?" He shrugged. "I think you mentioned it once." I was sure I hadn't, but I let it go. Because really, who remembers everything they say in a relationship? Another night, I came home from work feeling exhausted. I didn't tell anyone. I just threw myself on the couch and sighed. Minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was Nate. "Rough day?" "How did you know?" I texted back. "Just had a feeling," he replied. That was weird enough. But the next morning, I found a package on my doorstep. It was an Amazon Prime package. Inside was a box of chocolates, a very specific brand, one my grandmother used to buy for me as a kid. I had never mentioned it to Nate, not once. And yet, there it was, an overnight delivery. That's when I started paying attention. One night, Nate left his laptop open while he was in the shower. Yes, we were that far along in a relationship. I knew it was wrong, but my gut told me to look. I found a folder labeled with my name. Intrigued, I clicked on it. Inside, I found screenshots. Hundreds of them. Old Facebook posts, deleted Instagram photos, things I hadn't seen in years. Ideally, I would want my boyfriend to be so into me that I'm front and center of his life. But this was a bit too much. He had written notes next to each one. She posted about this song twice. Means a lot to her. She complimented this dress before. Buy it for her birthday. She prefers black coffee in the mornings but drinks tea when she's sad. It was like a study guide. He wasn't just dating me. He had been studying me. He had been stalking me. And he got me. A shiver ran down my spine. I wanted to scream at him, to demand answers. But instead, I did something else. I pretended I didn't see anything, and I started pulling away. I didn't text back as quickly. I stopped sharing as much. And that's when I realized he noticed, because he started showing up unexpectedly, at work, at my favorite cafe, even at my gym. I was just in the area, he'd say, flashing that perfect smile. But the way he looked at me felt different now. Like he knew I was slipping away. Like he was trying to keep me from leaving. One night, I finally decided. I was going to break up with him. I texted him. "I think I need some space." 2 minutes later, he replied, "Let's talk. I know you're home right now. My blood ran cold. I hadn't told him I was home. I hadn't told him where I was at all. I looked out my window. Nate was standing across the street, watching, waiting. That's when I called the police. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Nate didn't fight them. He just smiled when they told him to leave. I filed a report, but they told me there was nothing they could do unless he actually hurt me. I couldn't believe it. I had to be hurt first before they did anything. Stalking cases are tricky, one officer said. Just be careful. I changed my locks, blocked his number, tried to move on. But 2 nights later, I woke up to a notification on my phone, an email from an unknown sender. No subject, no message. Just an attachment. A selfie of me, taken from behind me, from that morning, with a caption, "You always love bookstores." That's when the police took it seriously. They got a warrant and searched Nate's place. And they found more than just my files. They found folders with other names, other women. I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't have been the last. Nate was arrested for stalking, identity fraud, and multiple counts of harassment. I testified against him in court, and when I did, I saw his face. He wasn't angry. He wasn't scared. He was smiling, like he still had a plan. Nate was sentenced to 4 years in prison for stalking and identity fraud. It's been a year. I moved to a different city. New job, new number, new apartment. But he'll get out one day. Perhaps he'll come looking for me. I try not to think about it. Most days, I convince myself I'll deal with it when the time comes. Some love stories aren't written in the stars. They're written in obsession. If you like this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell me, what would you do if you found out someone had been watching you for years? Losing someone changes you. It changes the way you think, the way you see the world. But I never expected it to change who I fell for. And looking back, I don't know if I actually fell for him, or if I just got caught in the weirdest, most uncomfortable situation of my life, because dating my dead sister's ex-boyfriend should have been my first red flag. My sister, Jackie, died in a car accident 18 months ago. She was driving home late at night when she swerved off the road. The police said there was no sign of foul play, no alcohol in her system. It was just one of those awful, senseless things. She was 26. I spent months grieving, waiting for the pain to dull, waiting to wake up without that gut punch feeling of loss. It never fully went away. But eventually, I started functioning again. That's when I ran into Roger. It was at a coffee shop, one Jackie and I used to go to all the time. He looked surprised to see me. Then he smiled. "Wow, I can't believe it's you." I hadn't seen him since Jackie's funeral. They had dated for about 6 months before breaking up. Nothing dramatic, just a quiet split. I always thought Roger was a good guy, charming, friendly, a little reserved, but Jackie seemed to like that about him. And seeing him that day, it felt weirdly comforting. He knew Jackie. He knew what it was like to lose her. We started talking, catching up. Then out of nowhere, he said something that stuck with me. "You always reminded me of her." At first, I thought he was just being nice. He started checking in on me, texting to see how I was holding up. At a time when most people had stopped talking about Jackie, Roger still cared. He made me laugh, made me feel seen. And after a few weeks, he asked me out. "I feel like we were supposed to meet again," he said. "Like maybe something good can come out of this whole tragedy." It felt weird, wrong, but I was lonely, so I said yes. Dating Roger was easy. He was attentive, thoughtful, present. But there were small things that felt off, like how he never talked about their relationship, or how he'd ask strange questions about Jackie. Did she ever mention feeling unhappy? Do you think she ever regretted things? One night, I woke up to him staring at me in bed. "You look just like her," he whispered. I laughed nervously. "Well, yeah, we're sisters." But something about the way he said it made my stomach turn. One night, Roger left his phone unlocked while he was in the shower. I wasn't the kind of person to snoop, but I did, and I found a folder of photos. All of them were of me, screenshots from my social media, candid shots from before we started dating, and one picture taken outside my apartment. Before we even reconnected, my hands went cold. I put the phone down, sat there, trying to breathe. Then I heard his voice behind me. "What are you doing?" I turned. Roger was standing in the doorway, watching me. "You went through my phone?" His voice was calm, too calm. "Why do you have pictures of me?" I shot back. He didn't answer right away, just smiled. "I told you," he said. "You remind me of her." And suddenly, everything made sense. The way he showed up at that coffee shop, the way he asked about Jackie's regrets, the way he never seemed interested in me until after she was gone. I wasn't dating Roger. I was filling a space she left behind. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I met him at a diner and told him it wasn't working. His reaction was blank. "I understand," he said. He didn't ask why, didn't argue. He just sat there, stirring his coffee. "Take care of yourself." And that was it. I walked out, half expecting him to follow me, but he didn't. And that should have made me feel relieved. But instead, it just made me wonder, did he ever really care about me at all? Or was I just the closest thing left to Jackie? I never saw Roger again. He never tried to contact me. But sometimes, I still think about it. How it all felt so normal at first. How I brushed off the weirdness. I tell myself I made the right choice, that I got out before it got worse. But I don't know. Maybe he was just grieving in his own way. Maybe he really did just fall for me. Or maybe I was never meant to be anything more than a replacement. At what point does grief turn into obsession? If you like this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell me. Would you have dated your sibling's ex? If so, when would you have walked away? I should have known something wasn't right when I took the job. The money was too good. The family was too perfect. And my employer. Something about him made my skin crawl. But I ignored my instincts. Because at the time, I didn't have a choice. I came to the US on a student visa, full of hope, ready to experience a new life. But money ran out fast. Rent, food, tuition. I was drowning. When Scott messaged me on the dating app, he seemed kind. A little older, yes, but charming. We talked for weeks. Late into the night, he made me feel special. Safe. Then, just when we were about to meet, I slipped and told him about my financial trouble. His tone changed. He stopped flirting and became practical. "I have a friend who needs a live-in babysitter and housekeeper," he said. "He'll pay 10 times the usual rate. It could solve your problem." I was desperate. I took the number he gave me and called. The man who answered introduced himself as James Peterson. He sounded kind, professional even. His wife, Sabrina, worked long hours, and they needed someone to help with their 3-year-old son. I moved in the next day. The house was beautiful, big, modern, too clean for a family with a toddler. Sabrina was polite but distant, barely home. The child, Oliver, was sweet, always reaching for me with his chubby hands. And James? James was nice, almost too nice. He lingered when we talked, held eye contact a little too long, always stood a little too close. But he never did anything wrong, so I told myself I was overreacting. Then, a week in, it started. At night, I heard footsteps outside my door. Soft at first, then louder, pacing. One night, I woke to the sound of my doorknob turning. A slow, deliberate click, click, click. I held my breath, heart hammering, and gripped my phone. But the door was locked. After a moment, the footsteps retreated. The next morning at breakfast, James acted normal, cheerful, asked if I slept well. I forced a smile and said nothing. I started locking my door twice at night, but then the question started. You don't have a boyfriend, do you? Do you ever feel lonely here? You know, Sabrina is barely around. It gets difficult sometimes. You know, Sabrina and I barely see each other anymore. We might as well be strangers. I laughed it off. Pretended I didn't notice the way his eyes lingered on me when I bent to pick up Oliver's toys. It felt wrong. But I needed the money, so I ignored the warning bells. Until the night I found out the truth. Sabrina had left her laptop open on the counter. I wasn't snooping. I just went to move it out of Oliver's reach. I moved the mouse, and the screen came alive. That's when I saw the icon, the same dating app I'd met Scott on. Why would Sabrina have a profile on the site? Curious, I tapped it open, and that's when my blood ran cold, my stomach twisted. That didn't make sense. Scott's profile was there, his messages, our messages. But the account was logged into Sabrina's email. Sabrina was Scott. I slammed the laptop shut, heart racing. Why would a married woman pretend to be a single man and lure me into taking this job? It smelled like a trap, and I wasn't going to stick around to find out what it was. That night, at dinner, James was different, quieter. He watched me as if sensing I had figured something out. Then right before I excused myself, he said, I just want to say, you've been wonderful with Oliver. His voice was gentle, almost fatherly. For a moment, I felt crazy. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe the messages were just a coincidence. But deep down, I knew I couldn't stay. I left the next morning, packed my things before anyone woke up, made up an excuse about needing to go back to campus, and ran. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't ask questions. I left as soon as I was packed. Sabrina and James called to find out what happened. I texted them that I was sorry, but something came up, and I had to leave. They left it at that, which confirmed for me that something was off. 4 weeks later, I was lying in bed, scrolling. I opened the dating app. Scott's profile was gone, deleted. My chest tightened. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. A classmate sent me a news article about a local woman seeking divorce, Sabrina Peterson, knowing I sometimes babysat. The reason? Infidelity. Apparently, she had proof that James, her husband, was sleeping with the babysitter. It hit me like a punch to the gut. It could have been me. I was the babysitter. She had set me up. Sabrina hadn't hired me because she needed help. She hired me to bait her husband into cheating so she could catch him, divorce him, and take everything. Instead, she'd found another poor soul. I felt sick, I was never in real danger, but I could have been. What if James had figured out the truth before she got her proof? He would have thought I was in on it. I don't think I would have walked away so easily. Should I go to the police? I rechecked Scott's profile on the dating app. Nada. I had nothing. Sabrina would deny everything, and with her newfound wealth, she could do a lot of damage to me. I couldn't wait to get my degree and leave the town for good. Some people don't want love. They want an exit. If you like this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Would you have taken this job? And if you did, when would you have walked away? I met Donald online. We talked for hours every night. He was funny, thoughtful, and he listened. Really listened. For months, I felt like I had finally found someone who understood me. Someone real. And then one day, I tried to meet him in person. That's when I learned the truth. I've always been careful about online dating, but Donald was different. We didn't just talk about surface level stuff. We talked about everything. Fears, childhood memories, the kind of things people usually hide. We'd video chatted a few times, but only briefly. Bad lighting, bad connection. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Looking back, I should have known. One night, I got a little drunk and finally said it. I want to meet you. He hesitated. I don't know if that's a good idea. I laughed. Why? You secretly a serial killer? He didn't laugh back. You'd never forgive me if you met me in real life. After that night, things started to feel off. He never wanted to talk on the phone. He always had an excuse for why we couldn't meet. His social media presence was thin. A few pictures, but nothing else. And then, one night, I was scrolling Instagram, and I saw him, or at least his face, on another account, with a different name, a different life. My stomach dropped. I clicked the profile. Same pictures, different captions, different friends, different comments. I messaged the account. Hey, do you know someone named Donald? Minutes later, I got a reply. Who? I spent the next hour digging. Reverse image searched every photo, and then I found it. The real guy, the one in the pictures, wasn't named Donald. He wasn't even in my state. He was some random model in California, which meant I had been talking to someone else entirely. For 6 months, I messaged Donald, "Who the hell are you?" The message was read. No response. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I felt sick. And then my phone buzzed. A new message, not from him, from a random number. Why did you look me up? I didn't reply. I blocked everything. Deleted my accounts. I spent the next few weeks terrified because whoever he was, he knew everything about me. Where I worked, my family's names, my fears. And I knew nothing about him. It's been over a year. Sometimes I still think about him. What he really looked like. If he ever actually cared about me, or if I was just a game to him. I'll never know. And that's what scares me the most. Not all lies are about love. Some are about control. If you like this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever talked to someone online and felt like something was off? They say you never really get over losing someone. That grief comes in waves. One day you're fine. The next you're drowning. But what happens when you realize the person you lost was never who you thought they were? that they didn't just leave. They were never yours to begin with. A year ago, I was in love with a woman named Allison Morris. She was perfect. Effortlessly beautiful, fun, adventurous. The kind of person who could walk into a room and own it without trying. We met on a dating app, clicked instantly. For 6 months, she was my world. Then, one morning, she was gone. She didn't leave a note, didn't take most of her things. Her phone was disconnected. Bank accounts closed. It was like she had just erased herself. I filed a missing persons report. The police took my statement, checked her name in their system, and told me there was nothing they could do. She was an adult. People had the right to disappear if they wanted to. I didn't handle it well. I tore apart my apartment, searching for any clue she might have left behind. I called her old job. She had quit months before. Talked to her friends. None of them really knew her. The police eventually stopped returning my calls. My friends told me to move on. But I couldn't, because none of it made sense. One night, after way too many drinks, I did something stupid. I re-downloaded the dating app where we met. I wasn't even looking for anyone. I just wanted to see if maybe, just maybe, she had made another profile. And then, I saw her. A new name, different city, but the same smile, same eyes, same woman. Lena. Alive, and already with someone else. My hands were shaking as I clicked on the profile. She had changed her name to Eva. Same pictures, same effortless come-hither charm. She was active, online right now. My heart pounded as I created a fake account. I swiped right. It was an instant match, and within minutes, she sent me a message. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I started digging. I scoured the internet for anything connected to her new name, and what I found made my blood run cold. A forum thread, a man's post. From 3 years ago, it read, "Has anyone else been scammed by a woman named Mia? She moved in with me, stole from me, then vanished overnight. Same story. Disconnected number, closed bank accounts, just gone." The photo attached? Lena, or Eva, or whatever the hell her real name was. I kept digging, and I kept finding more men. Different states, different names, but always the same MO. She'd meet them online, move in fast, make them fall in love, then take what she wanted and vanish. It had been happening for years, and now she was doing it again. I couldn't stop myself. I opened our chat, typed a message. "Hey, you look familiar." She replied instantly. "Haha, do I? Maybe we've met before." My pulse hammered. "No, I think I just knew you by a different name." There was a long pause. Then, she unmatched me, blocked me, and just like that, she was gone. Again. It's been 6 months. I still check the dating apps. I still look for her face, because I know she's out there. I know she's doing it again. And I know some poor guy is falling for her right now, the way I did. Some people don't leave because they're lost. They leave because it's what they do. If you like this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. What would you do if you found out your missing ex was never missing at all?
She called 911, but no one came. A rookie cop found her body in a motel. No witnesses, no backup, just blood and a phone still recording. The voice on that phone, it said, "Don't let him take me." I was supposed to protect her, but someone higher up wanted her gone. They shut me down. My partner got shot, and the guy calling the shots, He wore a badge too. That's when I learned justice doesn't wait for permission. Some cases stay with you. This one never left. Don't let him take me.